on the wall, like
Colors.
rainbow colors, you know, like it's
Ah,
coming
yes.
from some prismat or
Yes,
yeah.
it is. Yes. No, I'm seeing them now too. You draw your attention. Thank you for drawing my attention to them.
This is the second call of the Archiarchy Invention Center Inventors to interview each other with these questions that that were part of the proposal for having these calls. And I'm going to find them and put them in the chat so that they're handy. Series of questions that yesterday with Jacopo and Patricia, what we did was we just took turns asking them to each other, and then after about, usually it was about something like 4 or 5 minutes or sooner, when we're complete with what we wanted to share, then we would use the same question or the next question and pass it to somebody. So I propose we do that again, and whoever wants to start can start. And I'll also, what I was doing yesterday was when each next speaker started, I would start the stopwatch again, and just to give a sense of what pace we were on, because sometimes when I start speaking about these kinds of things, I go timeless. And what time do
Yes,
each of you have to be here today?
1.5 hour from my side.
Okay, I was thinking 1 hour, but if we need to go over more, then we go over more. But yes, 1.5 hours would be the max, and hopefully a little bit sooner.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, 1.5 is my max also. And yeah, yesterday Jacopo left early, and I felt sad because he didn't finish answering the questions, but then he had the possibility to invite someone to do it, the last questions with. So I love it. It's, this Zoom room and this group full of possibilitators who aren't waiting for each other to come up with possibilities for the problems that we want to own and do something about.
Right. And can I just ask, Nicole, was one person answering all the questions at once, or were you going like backwards and forwards with the questions for each person?
We were going like around and around. For example, I
Yeah.
might say, so how did you come to realize that the job of Archiarchy Invention Center Inventor is on your bench? And then whoever I ask would speak for a time, and then when they completed, they would say something like, how about you, to one or the other.
Okay.
Each person
Yeah.
had
So
answered that question, and each
yeah.
person had asked it often, sometimes
Okay.
multiple.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great.
it's a flow technique,
Yeah.
some kind of flow technique. So even it doesn't need to be the same question what I got.
Yeah.
It can come from what the person is finishing, and then what is alive. The next question can arise to any of you, like at any of us.
It's a relay conversive view. This is my
And I understand. Yes,
That's the
and I
name.
understand that it would also be good to cover the questions that are in the chat as well, so that we have
yeah,
that.
questions turned out yesterday to work. And then a few times, as someone was speaking, another question would come in about something they'd said. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And also, the just to put the whole proposal in the space, is that then this recording of the three of us, like, belongs to each of us, and each of us does what we want with it, in terms of cutting it up into bits, in terms of, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
So Volchek, how did you come to realize that the job of the Archiarchy Invention Center inventor was on your bench?
I realized it while I was already there. So I was making step by step. My first step was where to leave the like the way I was living in Poland. The way I was living is I was living with Eva and with children in one house. And we decided to do something different because it didn't nourish us, as we were so much in fire to be together on each other team. We were missing the bigger, like a village around us. So we left the house because it was clear, like I was wanting to really disconnect from a lot of what was keeping me in Poland. So like a kind of identities I was used to have there, my previous job, like all these layers of who I am. So when I left Poland, I was really discovering who I am without what I created energetically as me, as my box. So, and we were looking for communities to live, to research, and it was very open at the beginning. And after 2-3 months, we arrived to New Zealand as not on the purpose to create Archiarchy Invention Center, but rather with the impulse to go to workshop and to meet the village here. And someone told me about OnTree. I was, wow, this is amazing because it's connected to the context I and Eva are living in, and it's like it was. I felt like, wow, like this is amazing. This is impression. Like I really felt, yes, some strong pull to meet you, to go to the meetings. And from meeting to meeting, from liquid state to liquid state, I was getting more closer to OnTree. And I realized, and at the beginning, what I got is OnTree is a living space in the same context of growing us like together to take more and more responsibility. And at the beginning, it was more in my system about initiation space. So we are together initiating ourselves to be more adult and to live together in this context, like everyday life, not as we are going to labs and we are having transformation, then we're going to home, but really we are keeping this context around us as a space.
Will you name the context? We'll check.
The context of like a growing into more and more responsibility. And actually, right now, the context is radical responsibility. What is Archiarchy Invention Center? What is Archiarchy? What is OnTree? And so it was like I didn't realize, I didn't make this conscious decision, or yes, I'm going to co-create Archiarchy Invention Center, but it was like it was the space that was evolving. I was in the space already. And my consciousness was evolving with inside the space. And yeah, I'm still discovering these pieces, like what does it mean? What does it mean that I'm co-creating Archiarchy Invention Center? And there are pieces, like one piece is I really do what I want to do. And this is discovering what I really want to do. What is my gift to what I want to experience, what is my gift toward, what is my service toward, what people I want to collaborate. And so this is very big rediscovery space for me right now. And yeah, and many others. Yeah, and I feel complete in this kind of how it happened that I'm here.
Thank you. How about you, Renee? How did you come to realize that the job of Archiarchy Invention Center Inventor was on your bench?
There's quite a few similarities from what Wojciech just said. And the very first thing was a growing dissatisfaction that just got so big that I couldn't ignore it anymore. And it happened, first of all, in my counseling room. Like, I've been a psychotherapist for 25 years, and I was starting to really become so dissatisfied about sitting in my room, having people come in from the modern culture with all their modern culture problems, and working with that incessantly. And I was like, I felt like I had created a kind of prison for myself. And when I started doing the work of healing myself at a level that I'd never experienced in all those years, and I realized, whoa, there's actual, like, there's just another level of transformation that is possible. And I was starting to feel that in myself, and realized that this is a gift, really, that I can share with the world. But it's not going to happen in my counseling room. I knew it wasn't going to happen. People were starting to complain about the noise that was coming out of my room. And so I spent probably nearly 2 years disconnecting myself from that. And then round about the same time, after ETB and lab experiences and emotional healing process and training and all of the things that we do, Anna mentioned at one of the ETBs, I said, we were having a kind of a wish. What do you wish for? And she said, I wish to create an adult initiation center. And I was stepping into the role of a magician. And I said, so be it. And I had this very strong wish and this very strong belief that I could create that. I've always had, I think it was part of what I was born to do, to create a healing center. That's what I thought of it as at the time. And I thought, wow, with all of the gifts and the tools and the bright principles and the people that I was meeting through possibility management, what a center that would be. And so I said, yes, I will create this with you. And then really, basically, my world turned upside down. I left my job. Anna said, well, I'd actually really like to live with you and Patricia. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is the way. And quite quickly, we sold our house and moved into the bus, which is a fairly well-known tale by now. And we left everything and to create OnTree. And then it's been quite a long time of continuing my own decontamination from the child state, from the parent state, from the gremlin state. And to me, that is the core thing It is the Adult Initiation Center, as you said, Wojciech. It's the adult initiation processes. And what moves me is to like, well, what's left? You know, like once we work with each other in the middle world day to day, and the only thing I can think of is what's left is that we will have like being to being connections, which we often have online times like this, but we will have it in our ordinary lives. And that really turns me on. Mm. I think that answers that question pretty well for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Nicole, how did you realize that Archiarchy Invention Center is something that pulls you, that moves you?
I remember sitting in a circle with Clinton and Chloe and Vera and Devin and Brianne and Sophia Magdalena in Portugal in 2021. And really it was like this discovery space of a live-in project. And I remember thinking, I've done this experiment. I've done this experiment, and this is a space to discover the next experiment and what would be part of it. And I didn't yet have so much access to, like, through all of the things that were in the way of my being speaking. But as I sat there, I was just getting this, it was almost like this pulse pushing through me to just describe this live-in reality where it would start as a small version of a village. And I had done this experiment in Calgary of creating the Awakening House temporary permaculture ashram as a microcosmal experiment that would inform, the experimenting we did would inform effectively creating a village, a Gaian, though I didn't call it that at the time, I just called it an eco-village that was working, like where the people part was working. And the pain of, like you were saying, Renee, this devastation and yeah, really discovering the prison that I was in. This had been happening from early on in my life. Like I started hating school as a prison that I loved to go to because there were people there and there was learning there and there were possibilities. And then as my family experiences with the children that I gave birth to as a mother, and finding myself in these other forms of prison until I got clear that the culture was the prison. And this is what I wanted out of. And then, especially once I started studying and using possibility management, it became clear that these were like prison breakout tools for the culture that I just didn't want to be part of anymore. I didn't want to perpetuate that anymore. I didn't want to be compliant in the devastation of life on planet Earth, including the aliveness in individual people. And yeah, just each next space. And you know, when you posted the invitation to this space, Wojciech, in the Possibility Creation Village or the PM event space, and Chloe said something like this is the hottest thing going on the planet right now. It's the coolest thing happening. It I think for me, it's always been the coolest thing. You know, when I was a little girl and I heard about the in Israel, these eco-village communities, kibbutzes, I was just like, I want to live like that. It's been in me a long time, maybe even longer than this life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey, what have been some of the big beeps that shifted you, you know, that empowered you to shift further into this identity?
I could answer that. Getting to know my fear was a really big beep. Like at the time I was describing before, when I was in my counseling room feeling very dissatisfied, I would come home and turn the TV on and watch the news and just watch the threats of the world coming closer and closer. And I was like hypnotized by it. And when I started doing the conscious feelings work, I realized how big my fear was of what was happening in the world. And I had really unskillful ways to deal with the fear, like watching TV. I don't watch TV anymore. And but then I was watching TV, I was having a glass of wine, numbing myself, and just getting up the next day and getting on with just carrying on as if it wasn't happening. So awakening to my fear was a really big beep. And also awakening to my sadness. And my sadness is so, every morning I wake up and I'm so sad about so many things. And as I complete those feelings, I realize there is something in my sadness that has to do with this huge love in my heart for humanity and the earth. And it's starting to serve me in this project. And yesterday I had this beautiful time on Heart Gym where I awakened to my joy of starting to really do what I want. And I had a beautiful experience with Sarah in Scotland. And so awakening to my feelings has been the biggest beep for me. And healing my emotions, it's just a continual process, but it's starting to, I'm just getting to the point where my feelings are beginning to serve me rather than hinder me, by the emotions. So, yeah.
Thank you. My beep was when I met possibility management. I went to ETB because I had this, like, I don't know, like my son was born half a year before I started my journey with possibility management. And when he born, I had this strong, it was something like he will learn from how my life looked like. And I knew that time that I'm not living my passion. I'm not living what I really want, I passionate about. I was creating that time the surrounding around me so that it will support me to do this what I love. But I was not doing this. I was just creating this like basically I was earning money. I was earning money to fulfill my to one time to do what I want. And so yes, so this was my very strong and it's still very strong motivation to live my life as I want, because he and my daughter, they are constantly sucking, they're constantly learning from what I'm doing, how I'm doing, if I'm what I'm feeling, what I'm doing this, how is my life. So this is my very strong like a fire to searching what I love to do, and really to do only the things that I really want, that I really consciously decided. And then I realized, okay, I was creating company, so I wanted to make this company like, you know, working better. So for example, like there are these Turkish companies. So I started to create this one. And after 2 years of like trying to shift, I got it, like I will not be able to shift from the context of modern culture while I'm creating something different inside the company, because it's so connected, it's so dependent on modern culture. So then I just realized, yeah, this is the time. I really got it that I need to quit it. So this was very strong information for me that I will not be able to experience something different until I am so much dependent on modern culture, on modern culture. So then I after 1 year of really a lot of working about how can I get out from the construct I was living, I sold the company. And I came to this space of I'm so incompetent how to choose from the space that I can really do what like I can really, there is a so vast space. It's not about earning money. So what is about right now? And I'm still discovering it. So doing this different initiations, and I hold space for rage clubs and all these energies, like energy of feelings, energy of archetypal lineage, energy of bright principles. I'm discovering this right now, who I am, what I really want to do. And I take impulses, I go with them, I just check, okay, this is for me, this is nourishing me, this is not nourishing me. And yeah, this is this is the place where I'm at. I'm still like I'm still in a very strong beep and go at the same time of what is reality and what is illusion. This is right now my like a layer, like a taking off one layer and another layer of what is illusion I live in still. And when I got one layer, I just discover another one. Yeah.
But I want to add something, if you're complete with that question,
Yes,
Fachet.
I am.
One of the beats that I had is when I left my old life, my old house, my old job, then I came over here to Golden Bay to create OnTree with Anna at the time. And I've I have found that I have recreated my old life. I've got another job. I live in a house, a rented house though, but it has a garden, and I pretty much created my own life. And the beat that I am in also at the moment is, wow, I have the power of creation. I can create anything that I want, and it really is true. You know, I can create anything out of my life or out of this world that I want to. And I when I met Yuval, I knew that I met another magician, and I saw your power of creation. And there's something about realizing that power I guess, of declaration and creation. Creation is one of my bright principles that's been a big beat lately, because now I have to let everything go again, what I've created. And yeah, it's been a big beat for me. Nothing exists unless we create it, and we create our lives as we go. Well, I do anyway. How about you, Nicole? What's been one of some of the big beeps that have shifted you further into this identity?
There, you know, Wilczek, when you describe becoming a father for the first time and having a son, and realizing that they're gonna map off of, like, the moment that I realized that I was pregnant with my eldest son, or that I was pregnant for the first time, I I was just I had this extraordinary experience of how incredible life is. And I was out in the wild. I was working out in the wild, and I was just so turned on and ecstatic to be, like, blessed with this job, to be a mother, to bring another human life into the world. And then I went into the town a few days later, and the contrast between being a pregnant woman in the wild and being a pregnant single mother with not so much education and not so much, without a committed partner, without a marriage, without it just was so big that this modern culture, the system of systems, I just had such a huge beep come from it, like from the universe, was like, not this. And yet over and over, as I made these excursions toward the edge to create something different, there would be more beeps, like, you're missing this, you're missing that, you don't have this, you haven't figured this out, you haven't grown. And there was so many clear moments where, often through somebody else saying something like, you're like this, or I want you to leave, I think you should leave, like, you can't do this, would land as like these jarring declarations about what was missing, what I didn't have yet, what I hadn't built yet, what I hadn't grown inside of myself yet. And I remember a few that stand out, and like, I could talk for ages about each one probably. One of the biggest ones was when I was in one of my first labs, and I asked Clinton for feedback and coaching about something, and he didn't want to give me feedback. He said, because I feel scared about your resentment. And like I could just, my box and my gremlin, it's like, made me a victim of that feedback. Oh, he doesn't understand me. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know how much I've done to not be resentful. And yet there it was. It's like, I'm being seen. My gremlin's being seen. I'm being seen as someone who carries and uses resentment for revenge. I think it was actually, he said, I feel scared of your revenge. And I had already been doing a lot of resentment decontamination work or deconstruction work. And yeah, and I love it. I love that I have spaces almost every day with possibilitators. And even as I live with myself, I have space constantly with myself as a possibilitator who's open more and more and more to feedback, to beeps, and then to the shift and go coaching and possibilities and experiments and spaces, processes. Yeah, and somehow making that curve that you're talking about, Renee, about starting to really get that as long as I'm making feeling something to avoid, whether it's feelings or emotions, and mostly all I knew was emotions, that I keep creating what I don't want, and the way to start to create what I do want, or kind of beyond what I could already create, to go further and further out into something that's not just the same old patriarchal, hierarchical, colonial, capitalist bullshit, that it really takes having my feelings.
Thank you. I just have to go and take care of something for, I'll be 10 seconds.
When you speak with Nicole about being in the wild and then facing this city life or going to town, it's so amazing that in both spaces you receive the beeps, but very different beeps. It's wow. It's just it's somehow I just discovered this, that in me, that when we put like when I put myself to this space of like, yes, like a forest, I will receive beeps, but they will be very different than I will put myself into the big city of modern culture.
Yeah. And
Yes, go.
I just wanted to say that, first my answer was to live in the wild. And then I got beeps because it's such hard work to be, one or two or three people trying to live in the wild far away from, while unplugging. And so I would be in this wild situation with edge workers, and still there were beeps. And they were new kinds of beeps, but they were very similar to the beeps wherever I was with people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the space is so like this what space offers to us as feedback. It's so important to put to this culture that we decide to be in, that I decide to be in, is so important, because it's just is that is this what I'm responding? I'm responding from with the space, with the context. I just feel so joy because I just discovered it in me, and it's wow, it's so getting like so much clarity why even going to the city, I need to have my personal bubble, because then I don't like it's not yeah, I'm just protected from this feedback. Like this feedback then doesn't like doesn't need to resonate with me. Like I don't need to take this feedback then, because it's not from my culture. It's not from my bubble. It's not from the place I want to put myself. I'm putting myself.
Mm.
Yeah, wow.
I noticed that even without going to the city, even going to the bank is the same. Like as soon as I enter the premises of modern culture, these things come at me. And I guess that's why I haven't really given so much thought to cavitation, but I guess that's where it comes in, to carry my own culture with me in all of those spaces. And I started, as you were talking, Wojciech, I started to get the idea that you were on to the next question, like where you are in your evolution on your path and what your current experiments are. And so could you say more about that?
Yes, so it's coming two experiments. One, how can I still I'm learning how can I hold my culture going to town, even it's here, the town is very little, it's like 3,000 people. And at the same time, it's like, how can I still hold my culture and be in connection with other people and really be in hard connection with other people and not wanting to change people, at the same time stay in my culture. So this is the ongoing experiment of my life in different layers.
How are you going with that?
I would say it's evolving. Like I'm much more like in last I don't know, past like 3 weeks we went together to the town, to market of the town, to do the menu, possibility menu. And yeah, it was challenging and so opening and so like really stepping into my culture in the presence of other people that are in their cultures, and exposing myself for, okay, this is what I stand for, and inviting people to experiments. And yeah, so this is the one way that really works for me to really, like, it's really like I'm my energy, I'm getting so much embodied within present of the people, and within a strong, like it was like an experiment, because it has a like a frame of borders, but it was very conscious, and it was like then I can really stand in my culture very strongly. And when I go to shop, I just usually still am busy with, for example, being with children, and it's more my reaction is that I put myself into the bubble and I don't interact with people almost at all. Like I'm very isolated with inside my culture, inside like me and my children, and that's it. So this is where I am in this experiment. And another experiment is I am living together with right now still with Eva, with my partner and children, and we already starting this experiment to rise together children, but not really be in enmeshed space. So my experiment is to unenmeshing from being with her as a role, me as a father of the children and she as a mother of the children. And this is like it looks like there are at least 3 roles that we enmeshed, and my experiment to unenmesh it. So one of the experiment is I will live soon with men, and Eva will live soon with women, and to really to clean our space and start to relate together from where we are right now, and not from the past of the dynamics that are between of us and are hooking us. So this is like the starting over of our relationship, and in this like a more long-term way to really start over, because it's so not easy to do it like when we are, you know, all the time almost together, because we are we spend together a lot of time with children. And it's third experiment is coming to really stand in this what I do. So I used to hide in this what I do. I used to hide it in this what I want, what I love, what works. And this is very scary experiment, and it's happening even right now, and I'm very glad also, and about the next steps of it.
Go.
So yeah.
Yes. I feel so many parallels, even though, you know, you are a man and Eva's a woman and you have children, and for me, the enmeshment with Patricia after living together for nearly 40 years is huge, and we're going through the same process. Only it's like, well, which house do we go to? You know, the woman's house, it would be exactly the same. So there's the whole thing of gender, and it's like this, the same things are happening in our relationships. The behavior that's shaped by gremlin and parent and child and meeting each other's needs in a relationship, and all of that is unpacking. And I'm not quite sure how. I mean, we're doing that at the moment through decontamination. But I think when we're living together with a group of people that will assist us to be living in a rapid learning environment, and it is really hard to do that when you don't put when I haven't put myself into a different environment, because the same patterns are so strong. They've sort of got so much glue somehow. But anyway, it's happening. We are starting to create in our coupleness separate lives more. And I don't know where that's going to go. And I have some fear about that and some joy. And so that's one of my experiments as well, to kind of stand alone in my relationship with her. And the other thing that is the coming out and being public about creating OnTree and everything that is. And like I had a great deal of fear in the Woman of the Earth Lab of crossing the line out of patriarchy, and I was so reluctant. I was last about 2 a.m. in the morning. I was like, no, I can't do it. It's too, I just can't. It's impossible. And then finally I did. But I still have this strong fear and resistance to totally bring myself into a public space and say, this is what I stand for. And when you all went to the market, I was afraid to go, because people in this town, they know me in the modern culture, and I have an identity, and I have a job, and I have a reputation, and to step out of that and say, this is what I stand for, instead of it being in my personal life, for me is huge.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm really scared of it. And I'm going to go there anyway. Mm.
And Rene, next week, Saturday, is the next possibility for you.
Well, the other experiment, Volchek, that I'm doing is I'm creating spaces in my life, which is so full. I have created such a full life, and it's so complete and full that my experiment is to find spaces and not fill all the gaps up anymore, because it's only in finding the spaces that I will figure out what I want to do. And yeah, so I'm not gonna follow any things that I think that I should do because everyone else is doing it. I have to find my way somehow. Yeah, so I may or may not join you. Part of I think I've been burnt and killed so many lifetimes for using my magic in the world, and I've done quite a bit of healing on that, but it's still there in the background. It's there. Yeah, but yeah.
Will you say the sadness?
Mm,
Will you say the sadness?
yeah. Yeah, the sadness just it mixes with my fear quite strongly still. And yeah, I think I long, and it's one thing that brings me to OnTree is that I long for a place with others, that I can join others in creating something radical and new without being killed. And I think the time is right for that. In the Earth's evolution, I think there is, such a need, and also even if I get killed, well, if I get killed, I get killed, but to somehow join with a group of others and have that kind of it's not a protection, but well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I think I have always kind of done things alone, and I haven't really um, joined strongly to collaborate with others. And yeah, this is what my experiment is also, to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rene.
I will keep going with the theme. Do you have
Yes.
something?
Yeah. What are your current experiments, Nicole?
Yeah, like both of you, there's a lot of my research right now is about becoming visible, daring to become visible, even with still emotional fear that I will get killed, I will get exiled, I will get gossip done about me, and I will get excluded and pushed away. I will get turned into the persecutor. And this is how we're here too, partly is this 2 days in a row here I am. And my experiment today has been to answer the question completely differently than I did yesterday. And yes, going into the towns that I live near and really energetically being the size I am and coming from the culture I'm coming from. And decontamination is a huge part of it. One of my experiments is having adventures with a man who I've met, who I just appreciate so much and admire and respect, and he, you know, he's brand new to this idea of archiarchy while having been an edge worker his whole life. And to relate with him and have adventures with him without becoming enmeshed. It's I feel massive joy to have a team of women who are holding space for me to report to and to notice things about what I say and what I bring that I can't notice myself, so that when I do have relating with him, I can be as much as possible, like each time more centered, more in my own personal bubble of space and culture. And coming from my adult, you know, ever more Archan adult relating space from my being. And it's like a full-time experiment, which shows me how enmeshed I get still. And I feel a lot of joy to have projects where I can like my attention just like Velcro, unrip the Velcro of putting my attention onto him or in his direction, or on memories about what happened last time, and just rip it and put it on one of my projects or one of my teammates, and my life as an Archan, a woman becoming Archan, you know, overall experiment. It's amazing to discover how many gaps I unconsciously kind of let be draining my energy and attention out in directions I don't want it to go.
Nicole, with that kind of experiment and everything that I know about you, I see more than a woman becoming Archan. I see an Archan woman.
Thank you.
It's not as if there's some perfect place to be reached.
Yeah, this is part of my edge of becoming visible, is that what I've discovered is that I'm constantly gathering evidence for how far I have yet to go, and how I'm not what I want to become.
What if being an Archan woman involved all of the journey, the whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a kind of a new angle to the being here now experimenting. Sounds like a perfect segue into the next question, which is, what is your edge today, here and now? And what, if anything, do you want possibilities about? Who will speak to that first?
I thought you said I will speak to that first.
Sounds like it's you. We'll check.
What is my edge today, here and now? Yes, my edge today is that I'm shrinking myself. Even I came more spacious. I start to shrink on the way. And
How did it happen?
how did it happen? Oh, I like on a physical level, I really not allowed myself to move. Actually, what's coming is that I unconsciously reacting to be small. And what just happened in my physical body just was reacting more and more and more. And I didn't notice this. And I was feeling more and more unconscious fear. And anyway, it's also creates spaciousness in me to shrink here in this space, to take a stand for being in this space. It's already the next experience of the next experience that brings some more and more clarity.
Is there anything you want about that?
Mm. I realized I hide sadness. Right now I hide sadness, that I'm sad about. I'm long for and this is yeah, I started to
What if
escape from my sadness.
what if you didn't hide it right now, Boche?
Mm-hmm. I even I decide to be with you in this space, I feel so much fear to be with you in this space. And I'm sad, and my sadness is that I long to be in connection, to be in a just openness, to be as big as I am, and to you big as you be as big as you are, and so we can meet. Yeah, this is longing from my sadness. And mm, and yeah, and my fear just contracts this spaciousness that could happen.
You said before that you were feeling small. Can you be with, how is it for you to be with us and feel small?
Mm. I yeah, right now I see two parts. Like parts of me wants to be small, parts of me want to be with you as I am. Yeah, and I felt joy that the part of adult is so strong. Even big piece of me want to be small, I'm here.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there an experiment you could create right now to do in the next days or weeks?
Yes, something about acknowledging. It really worked what you just, Rene, asked me. How is it for me to be small? Then I notice these different parts also of me. So uh, I just have a sense what could be the experiment, that it's about to, I could acknowledge this part and speak and just say it. That part of me just don't want to shrink and create the space to say that this is just happening, and not and just not get drowned into it, but really just acknowledge.
What you just said, it lands to me as a experiment about radical honesty, especially around when you notice that you do any kind of shrinking move. Will you
Yes. Do you have more?
will you turn it into a more distinct experiment that has this purpose about be empowering you to become the size, to maintain maybe the size that you really are, and that has a beginning and a middle and an end, and like things you do as a conscious experimenter, that then when the experiment is over, or maybe it continues on, but when the specific beginning of the experiment is over, that you would share your research with the village.
Yes, I will do, and I will create experiment first.
Great.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
and it's like, you know how on the startup websites, the experiments, they have a number, they have a name, they have matrix points, they have the purpose, and it's like, here are the steps, and then report. I love when it's such a distinct experiment, that, yeah, and especially you can create one that turns you on so much to do that you can't not do it. You can't forget about it. You can't not report about it.
Yes, wow, thank you. It's especially this part about sharing in the village.
Yeah.
It awakens something in me. Not clear yet, but it's even like a continuing this experiment. Yeah, I will go with this. Thank you, Nicole.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you?
So I could tell, yes, I can tell you what my edge is. My edge is growing myself. The first thing that Wojciech said was something about being little, and I immediately thought, I'm growing myself and standing for what I know and saying what I want, and trusting that I am already what I want to be. That it's like just clearing away the muck and the mud and everything else that's around it, like clearing away the mud from the diamond. And that, yeah, that's my edge. And I'm aware that, like, soon, in a couple of hours, I will go to my job. And yesterday I told the whole team that I was not going to be there long term, that I'm just filling in for now, and in the next 6 to 9 months I would leave. And I've been so scared to tell them that, because I'm valued and there's money and I'm saving people's lives, and it's just the perfect job for my for my rescuer and my gremlin. And yeah, I made this declaration that I have work to do for OnTree. This is what I came here for. And I felt so free and so happy yesterday about that. And so my edge is to go. Somehow it's freed me up because I don't have to fit myself into being a DBT therapist at Te Whare Mahana, which is where I work. I can go there and take my whole self with me, and I have nothing to lose.
Wow.
And yeah. And yeah. So this is my edge, going and being who I am and taking myself as a branch of OnTree to wherever I go, to the bank, to the real estate agent, to my job, to the supermarket, everywhere. This is my edge.
If there was another element of experimenting or a tool or something to add to what you have right now as you prepare to go to work in a couple of hours, like what would it be to empower that experiment to really happen today?
I think it would be something like putting on my magician's cloak and taking my wand and going into the world as a magician. And instead of
cloak or an energetic cloak?
Is an energetic cloak. It's like a cloak made of these little rainbow things on my wall from the prism. So it's kind of just light. It's a cloak of light. And knowing that I have this is really who I am in whatever space, and not being belittled, by anything or anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I will do that. I will do that for a week, maybe 2 weeks, or maybe it's important to have a time, isn't it? I will do it for the last 2 weeks of the year. Every day I leave my house,
If not for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's in my mind as well. But I know they're supposed to have an ending, but my life will end. So, yeah. And how about you? I'm done with that question, and I'd like to hear what your edge is, Nicole, or any experiments that you have.
I feel a bit scared to add any more experiments to the ones I'm doing. I have this. Actually, I do want to. It's come up a few times in our call today here, decontamination. And I did an experiment where every day for, I think it was 2 weeks, I did this decontamination experiment that I had from Ingrid.
Yes, I know it.
Yeah, and it was such an empowering experiment, and somehow I've forgotten that I can do that. And yeah, so an experiment that I want to begin here now is to, somehow what comes is to give my gremlin Shark the job of like giving me a little shake on the shoulders or a poke that says, you could be doing a decontamination about this. Yeah, Shark, this is your new job, to get my attention when you notice that there's decontamination to be done and that I make time to do it. Deal. Yes. He gets so enthusiastic sometimes.
Great.
My gremlin wants to be world famous.
Uh-huh.
Is that helpful kind of gremlin to have when you're really wanting to become more visible? And it's also
Well,
a
as
scary kind of gremlin to have when you want to become more visible.
well, as far as I'm concerned, Nicole, you are world famous.
Yeah.
Shark's like more world famous than this. And I mean, what I really want is for Archiarchy Invention Center Inventors to all become world famous. So
Uh-huh.
I love
It's
it.
happening. It's
Yeah.
happening. With your help, I must say.
Yes, thank you. And this is another step that is showing up now is this the call next week that we'll check about at the same time and same place, right, as today's call, but next week
Yes,
to
exactly.
do this hidden commitments, discovering the hidden commitments, and yeah, inviting others to that uh, a little sooner than 2 days before.
Hmm.
So is your proposal to share this wider than within our group to make this process?
I will leave you to talk about that now, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye for now, Renee.
Thank you, Rene.
Have fun in your cloak.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah, what's my proposal? What I get is to I mean, I have never delivered this space, and so far I'm realizing I've been making this assumption and going with this that we would do the process by reading the process and then doing it. And there's not really a clear space holder. So a possibility that I get is to ask someone who's who's experienced with that process to deliver it for us, and then if they want to, more people could be invited.
I haven't yet read this process, so and I get that you read it already, and I don't know how it goes. So is it like it's going like we are doing all together the process, or it just one by one we are changing? So for example, you go first, I go second.
It the way I'm remembering from what I've read is it's a process where people can do it all at the same time. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
it is writing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think to bring it more alive would be to share what we've written. And I think a next step that's showing up for me is to ask ask who has delivered that process before, who's held space for it. And if there's no one to do it together with whoever comes from the Archiarchy Invention Center Inventors group, I think this group that we started so that these two calls would exist, it's like it's got a life of its own now. It's like I want to keep the space, even though this is the end of the second call. I want to keep the group I want to invite other Archiarchy Invention Center inventors to join. And I mean, I think of people like Christina Dershner,
Mm-hmm.
and there are also
Yes.
some OnTree people who aren't in the group, and some like Bridge House originators or people experienced about Bridge House. I don't so much have more of a clear proposal than to I will read it again, the process, and be in touch about what I discover about what I want after reading it.
Yes, I will do the same. I have planned this for today, so I'll also connect with you. And let's connect on this main chat, like in on the Archiarchy Invention Center Inventors group.
Perfect.
So it's
So
visible also for others.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Thank you for really, I'm very glad you organized this calls, and yeah, I hear you are keep going with evolving this, not knowing yet what's to evolve, but just keep going. I'm glad.
I love it. It's a little seedling game world somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being
Thank you.
here. And I will send yesterday I put the recording in the group, and as long as that works as a file, great. Else I can send it through an email method.
Yes. So I will send you a message. I will send you my email.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a it's evening your time, right? No, it's morning.
It's
Afternoon.
the early afternoon. Yeah.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.